welcome to the nonprofit network Third Thursday. I'm Byron Fager from the Illinois Community Foundation on behalf of Michelle Snyder, who is our program manager for the nonprofit network. So we try to do these calls once a month and bring different topics that are important to the nonprofit community to help us all be stronger. And what I always feel like we're doing a good job whenever I get something out of it, even though I'm the one working with Michelle to try to set some of this up. So this month, in talking with Terrence and on many other projects that I've got to work with him on, we were just talking about cybersecurity and how it impacts nonprofits and really small businesses. And many of us are involved in, in both thresholds or both realms throughout Illinois. And there's really a lot of things that can happen. And in the last year, we know several nonprofits that have had issues with their Facebook or Instagram or other things being taken over and locking them out, and they have to start over with a new one. Now, not into the world when it's social media, but if it were to happen in some of the things that are more sensitive, like our banking and QuickBooks or any of those type of accounting systems we use, then that's certainly much scarier. So Terrence, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and then just talk about it a little bit, and then I know you've got a few slides, but thank you, Terrence.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you, and thank you for having me. Like Byron mentioned, worked with him on several different projects, and it's definitely an honor and a privilege to be here with you guys to kind of share some of the things that I've seen and some of my experiences when it comes down to cybersecurity, ransomware, email spoofing, and the whole gambit. I could just go on and on when it comes down to the whole cybersecurity aspect of it. But again, I'm Terrence Henry. I'm the IT director with the city of Marion. Prior to that, I owned my own business for 13 years, and the city of Marion was a customer of mine amongst many throughout Southern Illinois. So in my field, I stay very active, very busy. I'm a part of a group called GMIS, so it's all your IT directors throughout the state of Illinois. And I'm also part of GMIS International, which is all your IT directors, internationally. So we share a lot of topics and a lot of frustrations, and we all try to work together to come up with solutions and everything else to keep each other safe. So I guess that's my little bio. I don't like to talk about myself too much, but do I get into the slide or?
Yeah, so I think I gave you, yep, there you go.
So I'm not sure what you guys see on your screen. There we go. That look better?
That's full screen. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So again, I want to say thank you. I know this is recorded, so I'll say good morning, good afternoon, good evening if you're watching it late. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out to listen to me to talk about the importance of cybersecurity. With the increasing technology that we have in our personal and professional lives, it's become more important than ever to protect ourselves in our organizations from cyber attacks. Cybercrime is one of the fastest growing areas of crime, which losses estimate to reach $6 trillion annually by 2021. We still don't have the totals in just yet for 2022. Small businesses are often targeted by cyber criminals because they are perceived to have weaker security than larger organizations. As I go through the slides, I will explain a little bit of these things in detail. So did you know that cybercrime is one of the fastest growing areas of crime, which losses estimate to reach $6 trillion by 2021. And again, we don't have the 2022 data just yet. Ransomware is the most common type of cyber attacks. A new victim every 14 seconds, which is scary. Common types of cyber crimes include ransomware, which we're all very much familiar with. Phishing, not sure if you guys have heard of phishing before, but those are fake emails that everyone gets constantly. I'm sure you guys all received a fake email here and there. A new thing that's starting to come out are the QR codes. QR codes are starting to be more and more prevalent at our restaurants, at our coffee bars, I mean, just anywhere. And people are starting to just make little QR code stickers and place them in public places and restrooms and everything else. And we're all so curious with our smartphone devices and everything else. The first thing we do is when we see a QR code, we want to scan it, you know? And so the hackers and everyone else, they are definitely aware of that. Website spoofing is something that's been around for many, many years. I started out doing a lot of stuff on eBay for people. And one of the things that I noticed and used to get a lot of phone calls about were people were upset because their eBay accounts got hacked. Nowadays, it's Facebook. So we're so used to going to Google, the almighty Google, and we'll type in Facebook and we'll see an ad pop up. The first thing pops up says ad, then Facebook. Well, we click it. And then we think we're on Facebook and we put in all our prevalent information and then it doesn't work. And then we try to come back to that same page and it doesn't work. Or they've just cloned our account. Now there's like 3 Terrence Henry Facebook accounts. And so that's something that's definitely on the rise. Malware. Malware is viruses and different things that we would get onto our computers. A lot of us will go to, different websites, whether it's a YouTube or a Google or whatever else, and we may want to download the latest TikTok video or do something of that nature. And we go to these free websites to get stuff. And lo and behold, we are actually putting that virus onto our computer. And that virus can just lay dormant on our computer for quite some time until it's ready to wake up. And again, I'll talk about some more of the known malwares and different things, and even some of my own personal experiences when it comes down to the ransomware and the phishing and the website spoofing. The IoT, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of that, but it's Internet of Things. We are becoming more and more dependent on everything being on the internet. That's why they call it the Internet of Things. And we're at a point now that we already have our telephones. Now we've got our smartwatches. Then you go home, you've got your Ring doorbell. For some of us that can afford it, now our refrigerators are online. So your refrigerator can send you a text message to let you know that you're low on eggs. It can also, you can take a photo of inside of your refrigerator through the internet to see if you need more milk. Our toasters, our everything that we have, we're constantly buying smart plugins to make, analog coffee makers now available to be controlled by our phone. That is the Internet of Things. And a lot of hackers are loving that because to them, it's a one-stop shop. And I would guess that if anyone has these smart devices in their house, they're probably all using the same password for each one of their devices, just because it makes it simple. And hackers love simplicity. So the first thing I want to talk about is the ransomware. Ransomware, like I mentioned before, there's a victim every 14 seconds. Small businesses are the ones that are most targeted by these ransomwares. The average time to detect a data breach is 197 days. And the average time to contain a breach is 69 days. And what most of us don't realize is that you may have already been infected and not know it until it's too late. So when it comes down to the data breach and the detection, you may have some ransomware already on your computer now that has been on there for many months. They just haven't turned it on just yet, but it's just laying there. And then by the time they do turn it on, again, it may be too late. So one of the questions a lot of people say is, well, how do I get infected? I've done everything that I can think of correct. I don't really get on the internet that much. Don't click on a whole lot of different things, but here I am, and I've been infected. One of the ways that people will infect you is through what they call phishing, email phishing. A majority of cyber attacks, roughly 90%, occur through phishing. Phishing emails mimic messages from someone or a business or something that you may trust. And thousands of phishing attacks are launched every day. So I'm sure that you guys have all received some sort of an email saying that, hey, this is Terrence. Here's an invoice, or here's something that is coming from me. Please click the link in order to verify it. And then as soon as you click the link, either one, you won't be able to open it, or two, it does open, but in the background, it's downloading information onto your computer that you're just not aware of. Some examples of other ways that people can get into your computer with the phishing part is with fake invoices. Amazon, I've seen a lot of that, where you would get an email saying like, hey, please update your Amazon account, or your Amazon account has been hacked, or we've noticed some fraudulent activity on your Amazon account, or even on your PayPal account. Please click here to verify these transactions. You'll click onto the link, then you'll be taken to a page what they now you call website spoofing. You'll be taken to a page that looks like Amazon or PayPal, or even your own bank account or credit card provider. And then you'll put in your username and your password, and now you've just been compromised. Gmail, I get a lot of those as well, where they're saying your password has just been reset. Recently, as Netflix, people are starting to report that Netflix will send you an email saying that we just detected a device. Someone has just accessed your Netflix account from a remote location. Please click here to verify. And you click on that link and you think you're in Netflix, and you're not. For the city of Marion, we get a lot of, I don't say we get a lot, but we get several emails saying, they may come from HR. Your paychecks, are ready to be picked up. Click here to view your paycheck stub online. We've got new updates for healthcare services. Please click here to verify them. And then you've got your old-fashioned IRS scams where they're saying, hey, you forgot to file, or you've been audited, or we found some discrepancies. Click here. A lot of these things all are eventually start out with a click here. That's the end result. They want you to click onto that link, which will take you to a fake website where all your data and your compromise could be compromised. On the screen here, I provided what a fake invoice, fake email looks like. At the top, we kind of redacted some of the information that's up there. But if you had a Xerox, copier machine in your office, and you've received this email saying that you owe $373.75, the first thing you want to do is question it. Or if you're really nice, you're just wanting to let them know, like, hey, I'm sorry, you sent me an invoice for a Xerox machine, but I don't have a Xerox machine. You must be mistaken. But all you're doing is opening the door for the hacker. One, if you click onto the link, they're going to want your information, first name, last name, billing information, whatever information that they can get out of you, they want it. Two, if you don't click the link, if you just hit reply and say, hey, I'm sorry, you just sent this to the wrong person. I don't have a Xerox machine. Now you've indirectly verified that you are a real person. And now they can have this one-on-one conversation with you because you just verified that your email address was correct with them. So they're going to keep targeting you and sending you different things because now they know they have a really nice person on the other end that took time out to be helpful and to share with this hacker that they had the wrong information. But now they know they have a real individual on the line. So again, email spoofing is probably one of the first things that when it comes down to ransomware. Ransomware is the form of what happens. But in order for them to have ransomware, for ransomware to take into effect, they have to be able to infect your computer. And again, email phishing is one of the most prevalent parts that we see in the IT field on how ransomware gets into your computer. Another thing is, like we talked about before, with the website spoofing, we've got Facebook. You know, a lot of people will turn into Google and type in Facebook, want to log into their accounts, and it'll look like a Facebook page. And as you can tell, if you look at the original versus the one on the right, they pretty much look identical. And it's hard. The hackers are making it harder and harder to tell the difference. It even has the HTTPS on there. But now you can purchase an SSL license. Those are actually free these days. So anyone can get an SSL license. So you have to be careful on some of those different things. You really won't know if you're on the right Facebook page until you log in, and where it has like your username, the /, if it's the correct username or not. So you have to be really careful on that. In December 2019, approximately 267 million accounts were found unprotected on the dark web, which included names, phone numbers, Facebook IDs, and just a whole laundry list of things. In March in 2020, a second server was discovered that contained data for 42 million users. They estimate that over 600,000 Facebook accounts are hacked every day. Again, whenever you go into your Facebook account, and I try to use Facebook because I hear this so often, you know, most people seem like they're least concerned about a virus being on their computer, but God forbid if they can't get into Facebook, all hope is lost. You know, they'd rather not be able to print than to get into Facebook. And so they get in such a hurry once again to get to Facebook. And here's another example of like a fake website for Facebook. And the URL at the top, it has the app dot, followed by the back part, you know, I think it said like widget or something like that. But you have to really pay close attention to the URL at the top of the page to make sure that you're truly actual and factual on the right page. Honestly, I would say instead of going to Google and and doing a search for any website, and you see the word ad and then the title beside it, don't always click on the ad. If you know the direct website link, type it in directly. And if you do happen to click on the ad part, pay close attention to the URL at the top of the screen to make sure that you're truly actual and factual on Facebook or whatever website that you're trying to reach. Malware is what happens whenever you get an email spoof and you download this document, or you download this any document or any photo or anything else that you put on your computer. Now your computer is infected with what they call malware or a virus. It's just malicious software that can just linger in your background of your computer for quite some time. And again, it's all about downloading free software or just their emails. And I put at the bottom here, why should I be worried about malware? Because it is malware is very dangerous. And it's also the line that helps get ransomware into your computer system. And I don't know if you guys have heard, but there was a virus that was out there called TrickBot. And actually it's still out there. A lot of people really don't know much about it. In the IT world, we definitely know about it. So what TrickBot does, and it is so smart, it just hides into your computer system and it learns your computer. So there was a situation with us, and we didn't get hit with ransomware. So I want to just put that out there, and thank God that we did not, but we got pretty close. So we were infected at one of our departments. And what we found out is that our internet usage was spike after 4 o'clock. And I couldn't figure out like what was going on after 4 o'clock, because this particular end user goes home at 4 o'clock. But about 4:05, 4:30, the internet would just spike up and just a lot of usage on that computer. 8 o'clock in the morning, it would stop. Couldn't figure out what was going on. This virus was so smart, it realized that the end user is no longer on the computer at that time. So it starts sending out beacons, is what they call it, saying, hey, I'm a virus. I found a hole in the network, a hole in this computer. I have it open. I'm sending out beacons, transmitters to all the hackers out there in the world. The highest bidder can have this computer. And that's how ransomware gets in. It starts out with a malware sending out a beacon, like a signal in distress, code. Hey, I'm here. I've got an opening. Who wants it? I'll open it up for the highest bidder. So when we found out that it was there, then of course we shut the computer down, took it offline. That's the first thing you do. Unplug it from the network, get it off of the network, separate it. When I thought, yeah, and we'll wipe the computer clean, we're good to go. We didn't lose any data. All of our stuff was all protected and everything else. A day later, it pops up again, but the computer was not plugged in. So this one particular computer that was infected, it wasn't even on our network. Now it popped up someplace else. So we took that one down. Eventually, we took down like 5 different computers off the network and wiped them completely clean, had them off. And I said, all right, great job, team. We won. We evaded a serious malware or a serious ransomware attack. We are good to go. And the next day, it popped up again. And I could not find where it was coming from, because we replaced computers, wiped them clean. We did everything that you most possibly can do. Long story short, come to find out, it went to a printer. It was hiding inside of a printer, saying, hey, I'm in a printer. I found a hole. They'll never catch me inside here. Who scans a printer? How do you scan a printer? And all of us think, well, how would a printer catch a virus? Well, look at your printers. They're connected to the internet. They're storing data. You've got fax numbers in there. You got email addresses in there. If you email, you use your copy machine and you email, documents to yourself, you've got a username and a password in there for your server in order to email that document over to you. It's the perfect hiding place for a virus. So once we figured it out, and we figured it out based on our IP schemes and our network that we have, that this IP was sending out all these packets, and it happened to just be an HP printer that what it was doing it on. So when we got rid of the printer, we got rid of the virus. But a lot of municipalities and a lot of people are not that fortunate. So yes, you should be worried about malware. QR codes. You can scan this if you want to. It won't do nothing, I promise. I thought about it. If I had more time, I was going to make a fake website saying gotcha. But anyway, I see and hear a lot of people being scammed by QR codes. They will go in coffee shops. When you go in a coffee shop, everyone wants to promote their business. And one of the things they'll say is like, hey, scan my QR code, get a free cup of coffee, and all those sort of different things. And people will do it. And when they scan the QR code, it'll look like you're at, like my old shop called Lotta Java. You'll think you're at Lotta Java, and you will put in your username, or not you put your first name and your last name and maybe your street address, because you want the coupons being delivered to you. And how would you like to have them? You'll put your email address in, and they'll say, would you like to create a Lotta Java account where you get exclusive discounts? And you're like, oh, yeah. So you put your first name, last name, your email address, then you make a username and a password. And again, like our home and our watches and our phones, odds are we're going to use the exact same email and exact same password for this coupon because we don't want to remember a whole lot of different passwords. So we keep the same password for all of our devices. And this is the same password I use, and I've used it for hundreds of years, and it's never been hacked. That's what they say, you know? And so again, that's not very safe practice. Again, we talked a little bit about the Internet of Things. And that's the truth. We are living in an Internet of Things. So our refrigerators, you know, all of our smart devices that we have in our house. Now we're even equipped in our animals. You know, everyone is running around buying the microchips. So if you lose your dog or your cat or your animal or everything else, you want to be able to track them and find them. Our keys, you go buy a tile, put on your keys. You know, so if you lost your car keys, you know exactly where your car key is located. You know, Ring doorbells and just a whole gambit of different things that are out there. And that becomes a one-stop shop for a lot of the hackers and everything else that are out that way. Why do hackers do it? It's a lucrative business. I was told early on when I first started, you know, within the IT field, I would hear about people, hacking into different bank accounts and hacking into different items and everything else, hacking into Microsoft or hacking into different things. And then they turn around and they tell on themselves like, hey, I just hacked into this person's computer. And then you never really hear anything else about it. But down the road, you find out that now they work for Microsoft or they work for the FBI or whatever else. Early on in the day, it became the perfect resume. It's like, who needed to go to college, you know, and get your bachelor's and your master's in the IT field and everything else? You want a really good job, hack the IRS and tell them you did it. Odds are they're going to hire you and you're going to be making six figures, probably at the age of 17, you know. But as you can tell from the slides, you know, 3.86 million is the average cost of a data breach. $812,000 is around the average cost that small business owners and everyone else typically will have to spend in order to maybe get their data back, or they'll have to replace all their data. So it's a lucrative business for them. And I hear a lot of different places and a lot of different people that will say it will not happen to me. And I apologize. I'm looking at my slide. I see some of my boxes are off. On my screen, it looked like they were centered, but it's okay. But I hear a lot of people say, well, you know, I'm not Microsoft. I'm not these large companies. I'm not this, I'm not that. So and I don't really do a whole lot on the computer. So it's not really going to happen to me, you know. And if somebody wants to hack into my bank account, hack into my computer, well, they're only going to get $5 because it ain't no big deal. That is not the approach that you really want to take, because we put so much more information on our computers than we truly realize. From the photos of our loved ones to, you know, whatever documents they may have, wills, whatever. So don't ever think that it will not happen to you. Here recently, Lincoln College is one of the Illinois' oldest colleges that is located up north by the Chicago area, had to close their doors after 157 years due to ransomware. And the COVID part didn't help much either, because with COVID, a lot of people were gone. So the ransom hackers and everyone else loved it, because now all their computers are all unattended. And like I said, with that trick bot, they're sending out these beacons. Now they can do it like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because nobody's at the campus because of COVID, but the computers were still left on. So it was a free for all for them, and they got hit and they were not able to recover from that. And I think that college is closed down permanently because of it. The pipeline, the Colonial Pipeline that recently happened, they got hit with hackers. And if you guys remember the gas shortages that happened out, I think it was out east, and the Florida and everything else, was because they got hit with ransomware and they were down for so long period of time, and they were forced to pay $5 million in cryptocurrency. So it was untraceable, but it was still a lot of money on their part, which resulted in gas prices and gas shortages and everything else going up for us. Here locally, without trying to put anyone on the spot, we do have some local, places around here that has been hit, compromised. One, for instance, was the city of Cape Girardeau. They were hit. They were down for several weeks. Their citizens were not able to pay like their water bills, and a lot of their services and a lot of different things that they relied on heavily from the city was all put to a halt because of a ransomware attack. So prevention, it's like, how do you keep that from happening? Back up your data. That's the most important thing that you should do. And when I say back it up, when you back up your data, back it up once and then put it on a flash drive or something else and back it up someplace else. And just leave it on the flash drive, but try to have multiple backups and try to do it as often as possible. Before you do that, scan your computers with any of your antivirus softwares and everything else that you have out that way to make sure that there's nothing on your computer, because you don't want to just keep backing up a virus over and over and over again. Because when you go to restore it, you're going to get hit again. You're not going to understand why. That happened to some of our neighbors in central Illinois. They went through, they got hit with ransomware. They were not worried about it. They wiped all their computers clean, and then they put all their data back on it, and then they got hit again. So then they had to pay the ransomware, and they paid the ransomware. I think we'll just keep the math simple. I think it was $50,000 to $100,000. They got their data back. They were happy. Made a backup copy of everything else on it. 3 months later, they got hit again by the same company with ransomware. And this time they wanted more money because they knew that every time they kept putting this backup on it, they kept backing up the virus and placing it on their own computers. So again, make sure you back up your data often. Strong passwords, make sure you keep strong passwords. Don't use like your last name and your birth date as a password. You got your pet name and the year you got them, be complex, use different characters and everything else as much as possible, and periodically change your passwords. And then also, and I know a lot of people are using it these days, but they have a program called Password Keeper. And a lot of people like to put all their passwords in this thing called Password Keeper. And a lot of the IT people that are out there, we do not recommend that because that's a one-stop shop for the hackers, So I go old school, write it on a tablet and put it in a drawer or something, write it down. A hacker cannot hack your pen and your paper. In summary, cybersecurity is not just an IT issue. It is also a business that requires involvement and support from all levels of organizations. It is essential for everyone to understand the importance of cybersecurity and to take the steps to protect themselves and their organizations. In a nutshell, be smart and practice safe surfing. You guys got any questions or comments or anything for me? I know it's kind of quick, and honestly, when it comes down to cybersecurity and these sort of things, man, you can do this like in a whole, this could be a half a day topic. So any questions for me?
Yeah, I think, Terrence, one thing I'll think is interesting this year, a year ago, at the Super Bowl, one of the things that we know some marketing people said, oh, that was brilliant whenever whatever company put a big QR code on, that was their whole ad. It made everybody in America go scan that QR code with their phone. And to what you said, then people just thought, oh, this is fun, and they're doing it. And that company just collected a ton of personal information, or at least they collected information on all these different people that were clicking that. So it's such an easy way to do that. And I appreciate the couple of local examples because that it has happened in some of the South Illinois or Southeast Missouri area that we're seeing that. It's going to get more, I just think it's one of those things that'll happen more. And you're right, just a lead in through Facebook, and then you get into everything else, or
Right.
Instagram, whatever else. So, and I think so. We're here today, really focusing on nonprofits, but really it's in our small businesses, and it's the donors who are donating to us as nonprofits that are also um, fighting this. And so we need to be kind of all along the same line, because that was interesting what you talked about the printer, because I also know as nonprofits, a lot of times we get stuff donated to us,
Yes.
a laptop, a PC or printer. And I can't say that I ever thought about, do I need to check that before I come here and plug it in my office for my nonprofit? That's definitely something new to think about.
Yeah, that and flash drives. We tend to go to conferences in different places, and everyone wants to give us a flash drive with their advertisement on it. And the first thing we do is we come back and stick it into our PCs, and go from there. So it's something for the nonprofits that are out there. I mean, if I was a hacker, I mean, the nonprofits would definitely be a good target to hit, because when you guys are filling out your information, and I know, like, Carmen just got on the phone. I spoke with her several times. She will get onto the computer, and you got to put in a lot of financial information, and you're storing all that on your computer. And if you don't have the time to finish it, well, you save the document on your computer, and then you're going to come back to it. But a lot of your information that you have for your financials are all being stored on that computer. And once those hackers get in there, they see like how much money your organization does have. Well, that really helps them out, because now they know what to ask for. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, we think, well, we won't put the name of a Word document or an Excel file. We won't call it passwords, but inside there, we're going to say user ID and password, and then list it there. So, oh well, we're being clever because they won't do it, but all of those files are searchable. So, an Excel document, a Word document, a hacker knows that they can get on your hard drive and then search inside the files, not just the name of the file that says passwords, but what's in it. So yeah, you hide it, and even if you bury it under 3 or 4 folders or something like that, they don't care. They got all night.
Yeah.
Hackers are definitely the most patient people in the whole world, because they don't. You said that earlier, that someone will get it infected today, but they may wait months before they do anything. And then all of the backups and all the other stuff that you were talking about happen. You think, oh, well, we backed up last week, so we'll be good. Well, you've been backing up their virus for 6 months.
Yes.
So, is anyone else on the call have questions? There's a lot of information, a lot of things to think about. Even think about our refrigerators. I did not. I got a new refrigerator recently, but I did not get one that did. I don't need my fridge connected to the internet.
And I'll be sure to share this slide with you, Byron, so you can send it out to the group if needed.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, if there's no other questions for me, I definitely want to say thank you for having me. And I know that this is being recorded. And so anything that I can help and assist you guys with, feel free to reach out to me or reach out to Byron, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys with anything that I can help you guys with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate it, Terrence, and a lot to think about, and a lot more of us will be spending some time thinking about these things. And then I think there's so much that came in that we may have to talk about this more than once every couple of years. So greatly appreciate everyone who is here today, and we know we'll be sharing this out for others to see who couldn't join us, either because we had some internet issues today with getting this to go, or if others wouldn't work the time. So we do appreciate that. So thank you for joining us at the Southern Illinois Community Foundation. Thank you to Terrence for your presentation today and questions. And we know that obviously you're involved with a number of nonprofits, so we know you're already helping a lot, and we know that if others are having issues, to reach out to you or to us, and we'll do what we can to help with these things. So with that, everyone have a great day. We appreciate your time.
All
Thank
right.
you all.
Thank you.